been able to find anybody who's working on that review. I've asked, like, who is doing that work? And I cannot find anybody doing that work. So to me, this work was an excuse for the government to shut the supervised consumption site down, not have to fund them. I am afraid of what the next step from that government will be. Where I live, there is a 2-year wait list to gain access to mental health services. What happened to those people? I can tell you, in my community, 2 people die every single week because of an overdose. A lot of them alone because of the stigma. They don't feel comfortable reaching out when they're sick because of the stigma. And we have a minister of health who inflamed that stigma against people that have a mental illness or an addiction. This is not how you help people. This is not how you take your responsibility as a minister of health to keep people alive long enough for them to gain access to
Is
care.
decriminalization the answer? Is the NDP in favor of decriminalization?
We have the knowledge, we have the skills in Ontario to be able to help people who have an addiction, to be able to help people who have a mental illness. We have health professionals right now that are not only health professionals, we have police services, we have social agencies, we have youth agencies that are asking, let's do everything we can to decrease the stigma. Let's do everything we can to make sure that we keep people alive so that we can link them up with the services they need, with the care they need to deal with their illness.
Is decriminalization part of that? Are you in favor of decriminalization?
We have seen in others' jurisdiction that decriminalization has to come with no usage of drugs in public places. Very much like what we have, think about beer and alcohol in Ontario. It's not a criminal act to drink beer or alcohol, but you're not allowed to do this in a public place. Except if you are in class now. Thank you, but you remember how it used to be. Very much this is what's going on in British Columbia, where the decriminalizations mean that if you have a mental illness, if you have a dependence on drugs, you're not going to have a criminal record. We're not going to put you in jail, which is the worst place you can be when you have a mental illness. We're going to link you up to care. And no, consuming in public places should not be allowed, but criminalizing people that have a mental illness or dependency is wrong.
Ross, where is the place that it's decriminalized, but we're not seeing people use drugs on the street?
British Columbia is the latest one where
but that was only after they had to, ask for clarification, pull some things back. So, I don't know that that's what's happening in practicality. That's what I'm asking. Practically, where is it decriminalized where we're not seeing drug use on the street?
So in British Columbia, the decriminalization is still there, but they have asked for a change so that you cannot consume in public places. But the decriminalization is there. People do not get a criminal record anymore. Police officers don't arrest them. They don't get put in jail. They don't go through the courts. None of this is happening in British Columbia anymore, but they have tweaked it so that you cannot consume in public places. Very much similar to what we had in Ontario for the longest time, where it was not a crime to consume alcohol, but you were not allowed to consume it in public places.
How do you feel about the Premier's silence on the Solomon Fikiri inquest and the recommendations?
I would like to introduce the family.
First question?
What do you make of what you heard from the solicitor?
The Premier doesn't have the decency to respond to the question. My brother was beaten to death for more than 7.5 years, 50 bruises, legs and hands tied, pepper sprayed, a homicide verdict by an independent coroner's investigation. The Premier can't give my family an apology, and more importantly, 57 recommendations was articulated by the coroner's inquest, and the first one they've already missed. They cannot even put a statement, in a public statement, that jails are not the appropriate environment for mental health, for folks suffering from mental illness. Why are people with suffering from mental health challenges lives viewed as cheap? We don't want to be here today. My mom and I do not want to be here today. But there's a Solomon around us, and there's going to be another Suleiman. If the government continues to be indifferent, we have to act now, because there's lives that are at stake.
And I understand that you had hoped that somebody from the government would come out after question period.
I don't think it's a lot to ask the government to recognize a decent apology when you're directly responsible for the beating death of your loved one. When individuals that are employees of the Ontario government are responsible for the beating death of your brother. It's incredibly rich and incredibly disrespectful to Suleiman's tragic end and to my mother for the government and the Premier not even to stand and respond. Solomon Fakiri's friends? What about Solomon's mom? What about Solomon Fakiri himself? He had a story to tell. And it's as if my brother's story did not matter. But we're not going to go away. And the Justice for Sully bill, the government needs to think about this, and they need to approach this in a way that this act can be an opportunity for us to stand on the right side of history.
How do you feel about the fact that the OPP has not reopened the case even after this homicide verdict? It's been almost 6 months now.
The OPP to this day still has not responded since the inquest about criminal charges. There needs to be criminal responsibility into the beating death of Solomon Fakiri. There has not been any accountability into Solomon Fakiri's death. There's I don't know what else there needs to be. There's an eyewitness. Guards did not follow their policy. 50 bruises, 60 policy breaches. Solomon was put on his stomach down, and a homicide verdict. And the OPP still is not able to press charges. I don't know what else is needed.
Do you know if these people involved are still working?
My understanding is most of the individuals that are employed that were responsible for Suleiman's beating death are still employees of the Ontario government.
Do you have a sense that the government or the Solicitor General have a handle on what the issue is identified both by the inquest and yourselves as advocates for Suleiman? I mean, we've heard the Solicitor General talk about investments in corrections, but the whole point is somebody like Suleiman should have not been in corrections. Suleiman should have never been. It's not about just investment, it's about making informed policy decisions. It's about approaching it from a compassionate perspective. And if the government has hands in terms of understanding how corrections work and how to save individuals suffering from mental health challenges, why do we still have people dying? Just 2 weeks ago at the Toronto South Detention Centre, know his name, ladies and gentlemen, Ibrahim Ali died at the Toronto South Detention Centre. Similar circumstances, Sully, mentally unfit to be unfit. Instead of talking about investments, recognize that this is a problem and take that recognition and take these 57 recommendations, because these recommendations are a blueprint for us to transform corrections, specifically the inspector. We need external oversight into corrections, because if we don't, there will be more Suleimans and there will be more tragedies.
Are you surprised that there just seems to be a lack of response from the government? Or are you surprised that after everything that's been revealed, that there's just been a lack of response to this?
I want to believe in our government of the day. I want to have hope, but for me it's quite preposterous, quite tragic, quite dishonorable, quite disrespectful to many Canadians and Ontarians that have lost their lives at this system, and the government seems to not care. It's as if Solomon's life was cheap, as if Ibrahim Ali's life was cheap, or Ashley Smith's life was cheap, or Anthony Tsatsoulimanakis' life was cheap. It's as if people with mental health challenges, they don't deserve to be heard. We'll give them to their body bag and that's it. And for me, for the government to give these preposterous statements without recognizing these tragedies have real life effect is nothing short of tragedy and disrespect to the families. We don't want our loved ones in a body bag. We don't want to be here today more than 7.5 years. But my family's forced to speak back because there's another mother or another brother that's going to lose someone. And we are using this opportunity. We are sharing our pain so we can prevent another tragedy. And the government has a chance to stand on the right side of history. The 57 recommendation was not by the Fakiri family. It was by interveners. It was done by a very comprehensive coroner's inquest. Jurors were chosen. Conversations were had. And the government can't even put a statement for 60 days, within 60 days, that jails are not the appropriate environment, or that inspector we've been calling on countless inquests, which is external oversight and corrections, which we don't have, they're not implementing it. But we will not go away. We will not go away until the correctional system transforms, because this is not about just Sully. This is about people that are dying. And the government needs to stand and understand that. This is something wrong. This is a crisis. And what will our kids tell us one day? Will we continue to bury people because they suffer from schizophrenia or bipolar disorder? Or will we show compassion? And will we use the resources in appropriate ways to help people? And that's why we're going to continue to fight. Mais on a besoin de s'excuser pour le gouvernement de le Premier ministre Ford. C'était presque 6 mois que le Premier ministre, il a pas s'excuser.